We're going to continue to focus on the issues that matter for the American people. Affordability, lower the high cost of living, healthcare. We've got to fix our broken healthcare system, and that begins with renewing the Affordable Care Act tax credits, not allowing Republicans to destroy the Affordable Care Act. And we have to clean up corruption, which we are experiencing in real time. And we've got to deal with in the Congress, in the Supreme Court, and certainly with this administration, which is running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the world. Here's the interesting thing about Donald Trump and the Republicans. They've done nothing to make life better for everyday Americans, nothing to fix our broken healthcare system, nothing to lower the high cost of living, but everything in the world possible to enrich themselves, their friends, and their families. That's corruption in real time, and the American people are rejecting it.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about the broader Democratic affordability agenda? You talked about the ACA tax credits. If you had the majority right now, what would you do to lower inflation, which is notoriously difficult to handle?
Well, we need to work in a variety of different areas, and of course, the American people are most concerned about health care, housing, and grocery prices. And so in the next few weeks, and certainly in the early part of next year, we'll talk with a greater degree of specificity about some of the policies that we actually believe need to be implemented. But here's something that we can start with: getting rid of the Trump tariffs, which are costing the average American family thousands of dollars in additional expense per year. Get rid of the Trump tariffs. That's something that can be easily done. They should never have been put in place in the first place. It was an overreach by Donald Trump. It may get struck down by the Supreme Court, but the Congress should have never allowed it to happen, because Donald Trump doesn't have the unilateral authority to impose tariffs, but the Trump tariffs are crushing everyday Americans, and that's where we can actually start right now to make a difference in America, a country that's far too expensive, and ease some of the crushing burden that has been placed by Republican policies on everyday Americans.
Thank you. Just to clarify on the censure motion, but prior to the vote on Mace's censure, it was the third time, I believe, that Ibit Park brought that censure resolution on criminals. When you say unhinged censure resolutions, are you talking about Democratic brought censure resolutions?
I am talking about Republicans who have spent all year trying to censure members of the House Democratic Caucus, and they did the same thing in the last Congress. They have no agenda. Republicans have complete control of government. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency. And yet all we see, because Mike Johnson has no control over the House Republican Conference. Nice guy, but zero control over the House Republican Conference. In fact, his own president, Donald Trump, says he's got two titles. Donald Trump, President and Speaker of the House. Man, you letting the president punk you like that? Publicly? So there's zero control that the deputy speaker has over, talking about Mike Johnson, deputy speaker, zero control that he has over the House Republican Conference. So they're running wild. And all they are doing, because they have zero policies to make life better for the American people, is to cook up censure resolutions week after week after week. And that process needs to be brought under control. Do I expect that Mike Johnson is going to do it? Of course not. However, if there's a bipartisan proposal led on our side by Don Beyer, a very thoughtful member, then perhaps that is something that's worthy of consideration.
Mr. Leader, regardless of who is getting censured or not censured, these are two politicians from Florida, Mills and Shirley McCormick. You just said that she deserves her day in court and presumption of innocence. In the past, the DCCC and many Democrats have gone after Mills for his serious allegations. So how do you square the difference between those two with your messaging?
What I'm suggesting is that anyone who has been indicted is entitled to the presumption of innocence. In fact, I was very clear about that when Donald Trump was indicted 4 different times in 4 different jurisdictions. And in each and every instance, I was very clear, strongly disagree with Donald Trump's behavior, his conduct, and his fitness for office, but notwithstanding my assessment of this guy, the reality was, as an American, he was entitled to the presumption of innocence in every single one of those cases, and I repeatedly made that clear. So yes, I'm applying the same standard at all times, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's a member of Congress or whether it's the people that I'm privileged to represent, most importantly, back home in Brooklyn. At all times, every American, pursuant to the United States Constitution, is entitled to the presumption of innocence and their day in court.